Hello and welcome to Instant Insights. I'm joined by Oli Hudson, Content Director at Wilmington Healthcare. Every fortnight, we're going to be looking at some of the big issues in the healthcare space. And this week, there's really only one huge story to think about, and that's actually buried in some of the board minutes coming out of the NHS England board meeting. That's right, isn't it, Oli?
Well, let's just clarify it a bit, Neil, because it's not completely clear from what I've read so far, but there seems to be a paper that has come before the board of NHS England, which will drive the legislative agenda for the next couple of years. They need to make the laws to shape the NHS as to how they want it and as it's going to be at the culmination of this big journey we've been on through all these STPs, ICSs, place, system, neighbourhood. What's that actually going to look like when it's set in law and it's the structure of the NHS? Because these are huge changes, and whenever they do it, there's always controversy, there's always confusion. So they're setting it out now. They're trying to get everybody to be on the same page with this before they set it into the parliamentary agenda to become law. That's how I see it. And the source is HSJ. So it's got some good provenance. I trust it. And there's a lot in this paper. So that's why I want to focus on it this week and talk about what's in it and what it means.
Well, let's get into it then. What is in the paper? Why is it so significant?
Well, the headline that HSJ gave was it's the end of CCGs. And this has been brewing for a while, and we've been talking about it, knowing most of what will probably happen to these bodies, because they've been around, they've never really been a good fit. They've always needed help from other bodies, be they commissioning support units, being their NHS England itself, but they haven't really worked. This is trying to take what was good about CCGs. So you had that place level, county-wide approach with lots of clinicians getting involved, GPs getting involved, a good managerial tier, but that's going to be mapped over onto the new ICSs. So that the way they put it is that the CCG functions will be absorbed into those of the ICS, the integrated care system. So the headline is CCG, no, ICS, yes.
So, I mean, that's interesting. So you're sensing there's going to be a fair bit of continuity in terms of personnel, or are we, are we in the space where pharma needs to get ready for a big sort of shift in their sort of customer landscape?
I think a lot of the personnel will change, and I think one of the mistakes they made the last big NHS reorganisation was the brain drain. A lot of the talent left or was dispersed or went into the private sector. This time they'd like to keep it. They just need to put it in a more rational place for where those functions need to sit, and that's at ICS. It's all about the ICS as the strategic owner of the local NHS, the regional NHS. They'll be doing strategic management. They'll be doing effectively commissioning, although it'll work in a different way. But they'll be the budget holders. And let's talk about money as well, because the position paper seems to be saying that there'll be one single pot that'll bring together current CCG commissioning budgets, primary care budgets, the majority of specialised commissioning spend, and that's big news as well. And that's one area where I would say to industry, this has changed your stakeholder map, this has changed your customer landscape, because we've been used to having specialist products, and that's a big majority of the branded pharma pipeline in particular, and some specialist medtech products as well. We've got used to them being funded by NHS England and its specialised commissioning system. And what this paper is saying is that will cascade down to ICS level. And I've always had a suspicion that eventually this will happen, but what makes it real, really.
Yeah. So just tell us the timescales for this, and sort of what do we think happens next?
It's all going to happen by April 2022. So that's when ICSs will be on the statute book as an NHS organisation, and the CCG functions will have been absorbed into them. And to assist that between now and then, so it's a year and a bit, we're going to see CCGs merging or reconfiguring so they are the same size and shape of an ICS. So eventually CCGs will just equal ICSs, and then they will get the rubber stamp to become the statutory bodies, and then that will be the new structure of the NHS, April 2022.
So just briefly, just to recap, what would be your advice to pharma companies sort of looking at this as an issue? What do they need to do?
I think there's two different things here. There's one general and there's one specific. So the general thing is there is a new shape to your territories, to your web of affiliations, networks and influencers that will be working on this system level. So if you have arranged your account planning around CCG level, that is going to change. I think a lot of companies are aware of this anyway, but this is just more grist to the mill of that forward-thinking strategy. And then the particular thing is the changing in who's holding the money, who's holding the budgets, and that might well affect your particular product. So it's important to look at the funding flow for that and where the pot is sitting at the moment, particularly for specialised commissioning, if what we're saying here is going to come to fruition.
This is quite profound stuff, and I think it's something we're going to be keeping a very close eye on, I guess, over the coming months. Any final thoughts in terms of critical actions that pharma need to take now?
Well, there's one other thing in the paper, which seems to be that there will be a statutory duty of data sharing as well between all these organisations within the ICS, so that you'll get a much richer picture of what's happening to patients along the whole pathway. And this is the holy grail for industry, to be able to establish where their product fits into that pathway and what value it is delivering to the system. So I'd say if this is going on and there is a greater understanding of the data behind patient pathways, see what you can do to help with your data and get that dialogue going, like we were talking about in the last Instant Insights. Have that dialogue and collaboration going over the data for the benefit of patients in the pathway that you're interested in.
Really important stuff. Thank you, Oli. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope it was useful. As Oli said, we'll be doing these every couple of weeks. So if you've got a specific issue you want us to look at, or you've got comments or questions on the topic we've covered today, please do let us know. For now, thank you from me and thank you from Oli. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Neil.